so tight for Canada. Here he comes through, and it is, it's a tie!
A tie for Canada in the gold, and they do it again. Unbelievable. It's amazing.
One of so many memorable moments for Team Canada from the 2018 Winter Games in South Korea. And there it was on the podium, Alex Kopacz and Justin Cribbs, gold in the two-man bobsleigh, finished in that dead heat with the German team. All four of them shared the top podium at Pyeongchang. And I just had to play this because I had a chance to talk to the two of them the next day about that incredible moment, and it was really a pleasure to spend some time with them. So, Alex, you may have heard about what Alex is going through now. From that pinnacle in an Olympic athlete's career to this. Take a look at this picture. That's Alex in hospital because he has COVID-19 and is recovering from hospital, thankfully out of hospital in London, Ontario. But it was a very touch and go situation. And he's going to give us some time today to talk about all of this from London, from home as he recovers. Good morning. Good morning.
Buddy.
You just take it easy and you just tell me if you need a break because I can see you've got the oxygen. How are you feeling this morning, number one?
Just tired. Tried to get a coffee and my oxygen sats dropped to about 78, so had to quickly take a seat on the ground.
78, like we're normally in the upper 90s. You're looking at 78%, so you still have some oxygen support there we're seeing? Wow.
Yeah.
And is today an improvement from yesterday, Alex? Are you going in the right direction?
I guess I'd like to just call it stable for now. I mean, there's so many other symptoms that are gone that I'm happy for, so I just need to be patient with my breathing.
Okay. How does it feel to breathe?
A privilege.
Okay, but does it feel normal, or does it feel like there's no?
Tight. It feels tight. It feels like have you ever gone for a run in the cold?
Yes.
Immediately after that sensation when you try to catch your breath, that deep, it's not slow. It's like a pain, but it's like a tightness, and
okay.
it's.
And that's every breath.
Yeah, it's restricted very much so.
Wow. So, obviously, I mean, this is devastating to see in this situation. Tell me the story, if you can, about getting sick, how bad it was, and how quickly it progressed.
Well, I essentially almost immediately was sick. So I got back from a business trip from Calgary, and probably within like the first 2 days, I thought it might be something is creeping, and then on the Wednesday, just full-blown fever. And I'm sure I averaged around 41 degrees Celsius for 6 days straight. And then on top of that, this overwhelming cough that just keeps feeding into itself. As the lungs get squeezed, they just keep getting irritated to the point where you unfortunately will vomit or you start coughing up a little bit of blood. More of the blood was coming out by the time I was in the hospital, but just the body chills, the aches, all of it was quite awful, and there was no respite. Didn't matter how much Tylenol I took, because you start getting to that level, it's like, well, you're going to damage your liver soon. So now it's like, okay, you just have to just deal with the symptoms. And I did everything. I did every home remedy. I did every recommended doctor remedy. It wasn't until I was in the hospital that I had some serious improvements. And
once they started treating, so it got bad enough that no home remedies were going to help that ultimately. Yep. So into hospital you go in London, and they were treating you there, not in an ICU. There's the picture. Not in an ICU, as I understand.
That's
but
right.
You still needed some oxygen support, Alex?
That's right.
Yeah. Tell me about the treatment there and the care they were giving you there.
Well, they did a fantastic job. Just trying to help me as a human being, let alone just to treat me as a sick person. But they used this drug called tocilizumab that essentially stopped my lungs from shutting down. There's this thing that's called a cytokine storm that usually kills people in tuberculosis cases, pneumonia cases, and they were preemptively seeing how strongly my blood tests were showing how this wave was coming. And so they offered it to me immediately, and they said, listen, you're a good candidate for it. Here are the pros, here are the cons. we have to do something.
Wow.
And I said, okay.
That's so
that
interesting.
time-
That's a drug that's in short supply, Tosi.
Yes.
And you can't, they're actually talking about having a lottery for it. We can see how helpful it was in your particular case. But
Yeah.
had it reached that point? I mean, what was it literally? Are you talking about life and death scenarios here, Alex?
I was saying goodbye to a lot of people.
Whoa.
And very hard couple days.
You're 31. What are you thinking at that time?
I mean, you slowly have these flashes to happy times, and there's the sadness of, if this is the end, did I do enough? Could I have done more? If only I did, you can play with your mortality loop however you wish. It was a very, very dark kind of experience, and then I had to do an impromptu will of sorts with my parents, and that was hard. I really hope that no one else has to kind of go through that. Dying slowly, whether it's a cancer or something like this, you don't know when it's coming.
It comes to
Could
all
be
of us
soon.
in the end. That's right.
It could be fast, could be slow, and that's the worst part, is the waiting.
But then obviously you took this drug and it obviously worked, and then there was the turn. And you're able to be out of hospital, and there you are now back at home in London. And what are the doctors telling you now about your recovery and the long term?
Well, there's a great chance that my lung capacity could potentially return all the way. Worst case, say I lose 5% due to scarring, I accept. But it'll just take some time. It's just, using the oxygen to just breathe and just let my body heal. If there is any kind of relapse, then I just go back and just probably monitor it all over again with a little bit more heavy-duty oxygen supply. But all in all, through the worst of it.
Thankfully. Although there's a really kind of upsetting aspect, well, there are many upsetting aspects, but we were just telling me off air, and I think we need to talk about this on the air. As your story has become public knowledge, people have been sending you some messages. What are the kinds of things that they've been telling you, Alex?
So one thing that I would say on the ignorant side of messaging, and I'll just read the first little bit here. Why didn't you take ivermectin, HCQ, and 125 milligram plus of methylprednisone? You would have been fine. Was the propaganda worth more? There are so many layers of stupid to that comment. I don't even know where to begin, so I just simply said, thank you. Hopefully you can save a lot of people to hospitals with your research. I can't begin to tell you how frustrating it is now, coming across more and more of these. Before it really affects you, you just kind of brush it off. You ignore the crazy person on the street corner, and that's that. But now it's like you believe this to the point where you're going to tell people how correct you think your view is, and how this person shouldn't take, let's say, something as simple as the vaccine, any of the vaccines. There's some people outside the hospital that, as I was getting wheeled to that they're like, we need to be worried about the vaccine now. People that are spreading who knows what with this untested procedure. And the ignorance is staggering. We have people that are dedicating their entire academic careers to researching virology, let alone working in the atmosphere to try and get a handle on this type of a disease at the scale.
Right. So you've experienced some of the worst of the misinformation and the disinformation and the kind of messaging that's out there directed at you personally, which is pretty incredible given the circumstance. I'm sitting here talking to you as someone in peak physical condition, gold medal Olympian. We're talking this week too, Alex, about a 13-year-old girl from Brampton who died of COVID-19. Everybody's heartbroken by all of that. I mean, we were talking earlier in the morning about shaking people out of complacency and a wake-up call. I mean, what do you think is the message from your situation, and what we need? Not the misinformation side, but the fact that you could be in the situation like this. What do you want us to know?
I infected a couple people by the time I was home. And out of the 3 people that I infected, I had hands down the worst symptoms. The others, trivial symptoms. They're surviving just fine, no problems. You can't bet on what kind of symptoms you'll get. And if you're asymptomatic, you cannot have any concept of how much damage you might cause somebody else by passing it on and then having these awful symptoms. You don't get to choose. This isn't just like the regular flu that, oh, I might get a bit of a headache and a runny nose. I got literally the full gambit, and I'm supposed to be peak health in my life.
Well, may you return to peak health, and very thankful that you are early recovery, and thankful for the time today. You've delivered such an important message, and it's a pleasure to talk to you here. We'll keep in touch. Wish you all the best.
Thanks so much.
Thanks.